4.0 GPA, so I studied like all the time. 22, I was like, wow, I've got it figured out. Where am I going to go?
In reality, Jennifer Thompson had no idea where her life was about to go on that hot July night in 1984.
Who would have thought that you go to bed one night and you wake up, with a knife to your throat?
She struggled in the darkness of her apartment near Elon College as a man brutally raped her.
My first thought was, am I going to live or am I going to die?
She lived by escaping through her back door and into the night, wearing nothing but a blanket.
And I knew that it was going to be important for me to remember as much as I could remember, because the police were going to ask me for a description.
This is what she came up with: a black man with high cheekbones, a small mouth, and almond-shaped eyes. Several people thought it looked like Ronald Cotton. Cotton was also in his early 20s and grew up here on the harder side of Burlington, but he carved out a good life for himself until that August afternoon when he came home and got the message, the police are looking for you.
I just couldn't believe what happened that day.
Cotton went down to the police department to clear up what he thought was a misunderstanding and wouldn't be a free man again for more than a decade. Working off the composite sketch, police put a half-dozen pictures in front of Jennifer.
And because I'm there, I'm assuming that, he's in this 6. And the problem was, my actual rapist wasn't in the 6.
By this point, what Jennifer saw that night had given way to the police process.
In my mind, I'm unfortunately remembering a composite sketch because now my memory's contaminated.
And Ronald Cotton is in trouble. He was put in a lineup from which Jennifer was looking to match her composite sketch.
But once Jennifer written the number down and the detective took the piece of paper and showed it to my attorney, and once he saw it, he dropped his head, I knew then that I had been selected as her assailant.
Jennifer, how sure were you during the lineup when you picked him?
I was 100% sure. And what made me pick him was the fact that I had chosen his photograph.
Frankly, if you've heard Jennifer Thompson Canino speak, it's hard for me to believe that a jury who listened to her and saw her point out Ronald Cotton as her rapist, that any juror would acquit.
And indeed, Cotton's jury would not. He was sentenced to life in prison.
It was the happiest day I had in the past 6 months. I had done my job well, and Ronald Cotton would rot in prison. That night, I lay in my bed and I prayed. I prayed for Ronald Cotton to die miserably in jail, alone and afraid. But before he left this earth for hell, I asked that he know the horror of being raped. Sleep came over me easily.
During the trial, I would steal a few glances at Jennifer Thompson, thinking, why? Why are you doing this? She just stared back at me with hate. The jurors, the DAs, the cops, all of them looked at me like I was something they wanted to spit at and stomp into the ground.
As they both read from their book, Picking Cotton, nearly a quarter century on, the transformation since that trial may be more amazing than what led to it.
You will see that the defendant has been proven guilty.
The O.J. Simpson trial was the ultimate reality show in prisons across America, and Ronald Cotton was transfixed on its every word, including a term that he and most of the country had never heard: DNA. By this time, UNC law professor Rich Rosen had taken a look at Cotton's case.
Well, the red flags were, to me, the complete lack of any independent physical evidence tying Mr. Cotton to the crime.
And Rosen thought this new form of physical evidence might just be what exonerates him. Rosen went to work having the evidence tested, and in June of 1995, after more than a decade in custody, Ronald Cotton finally heard those words sweeter than any psalm.
For the first time in a long time, you are walking out here today as a free man. Take a leak.
The DNA proved that he wasn't the man who raped Jennifer Thompson.
Free, baby. I told you God I was going to do it then.
This man was Bobby Poole, who had been convicted of other rapes and soon confessed to raping Jennifer. But the revelation was anything but closure for her.
You have to understand it's now been 11 years. I'm a mother.
She spent the next several years, as she told students at her alma mater, Elon University, recently, that Cotton's release opened up the dark side of her imagination.
I was sure that around every corner down every alleyway. Ronald Cotton was waiting to kill me.
What Ronald Cotton was doing was getting on with his life.
We just rode around and visit Mom. And
He got a job at the hometown company that did his DNA work and would occasionally see the officers who helped convict him.
they would come over and speak and tell me that Jennifer, you know, she's sorry for what happened. I said, well, you know, I know, and I said, but I want to hear it from her mouth.
Those words eventually got back to Jennifer. So 2 years after Ronald's release, they met at this church in Elon, and Jennifer finally found her grace through the man that she had once claimed had ruined her life.
He and his wife stood there, and I just started to cry, and I just didn't have the words. I mean, what kind of words are appropriate? What do you say in a moment like that except, I'm so sorry, and can you ever forgive me?
I immediately said, Jennifer, you know, I forgive you. I was just letting go of a bad situation that had happened in my life as well as hers, and I just couldn't go through life feeling the way that I were from the beginning.
For me, it started my process of healing.
A healing that she now tries to pass along to others.
What he taught me that night through his own actions was that love and anger can't reside in the same heart, that you can't be at peace and be at war in the same heart.
Now, 25 years after their lives were nearly torn asunder by 30 minutes of violence that happened here, Ron, Jennifer, and their families have learned to lean on each other as best friends and come not only to realize that things are not always as they seem, that you find goodness and grace where you never saw it before. Bob Buckley, Fox 8 News.